The night deepened around the ranch like a held breath, the stars sharpening as the fire sank into a low red glow, and the two Apache sisters stood just beyond the reach of the light, their silhouettes steady and unafraid, as if they had already crossed every line fear could draw. And the rancher felt the weight of his own words settling into his chest, not as desire but as destiny, because what he had offered them was not a bargain of the flesh, but a vow spoken too roughly, a promise of shelter wrapped in the only language the frontier seemed to respect. And when the older sister finally stepped forward, her voice calm as a river that had learned every stone in its path, she said they understood his meaning, that among their people a marriage was first a bond of protection and shared fate, not a knight's demand. And her younger sister nodded, eyes fierce but trusting. And in that moment, the rancher realized the test was not theirs, but his. For to take them in meant standing against the men hunting them, the soldiers who would not ask questions, the neighbors who already whispered his name with suspicion. And he felt the old loneliness that had driven him to this land rise up and break apart, because suddenly he was no longer alone at all. And he swore to himself that whatever came with dawn, he would meet it as a man who kept his word. He brought them inside then, laying blankets near the hearth, offering water and bread, turning his back to give them dignity. And as the wind howled outside like the ghosts of unfinished wars, he sat awake with his rifle across his knees, remembering the rumors he had heard in town about two Apache sisters who refused to bow, who had escaped a burning camp, who were said to carry both grief and fire in their blood, and he wondered how a world could hunt women who only wanted to live free. And when the younger sister spoke softly from the shadows, thanking him not as a savior, but as an equal, he felt something shift inside him, a purpose stronger than fear. And hours passed with only the crackle of dying embers and the distant cry of coyotes, until hoofbeats cut the night like a blade and lantern light flickered beyond the fence. And the rancher rose, knowing this was the moment his choice would be measured, and he stepped onto the porch with his shoulders squared, telling the men who demanded answers that the women inside were under his protection and his name. And though mockery answered him first, something in his voice held, something that spoke of resolve, earned the hard way. And when the men finally rode off to seek easier prey, the rancher returned inside to find the sisters watching him with new understanding. Not gratitude alone, but respect. The kind forged when words are proven by action. And before sleep finally claimed them all, the older sister spoke of dawn ceremonies, of bonds witnessed by the earth itself, and the rancher listened, knowing that whatever this union became, it had already changed him. And as the first light crept through the windows, promising consequences and beginnings alike, the story of three lives bound by one dangerous promise stood ready to unfold. And if this chapter stirred something in you, if you felt the tension of choice and the power of honor, remember to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this only grow stronger when shared. And the next chapter will take you deeper into the cost of standing by your word on a lawless frontier. Dawn did not arrive gently. It came like a witness summoned to judge what the night had sealed, spilling pale gold across the plains and revealing the ranch as it truly was. Small, isolated, and standing alone against a vast and unforgiving land. And the rancher rose before the sun cleared the horizon, feeling the weight of responsibility heavier than any rifle he had ever carried. Because, by speaking protection, he had claimed a future tangled with danger. And when he stepped outside, the air cold and sharp in his lungs, he saw the sisters already awake, standing barefoot in the dust, faces turned east, whispering words to the rising light. And he understood then that what bound them was not impulse but intention, a crossing of paths chosen with open eyes. The older sister spoke of their names and of the promise of shared fate made before the earth, while the younger sister placed a braided cord at his feet, a symbol of unity and warning. And he accepted it, knowing full well that symbols carried power on the frontier, power that men feared and challenged. And the challenge came swiftly, For before the morning was fully born, riders appeared again, not drunk hunters this time, but armed men with badges and orders, demanding surrender of the women in the name of law. And the rancher felt anger rise, not wild but clear, because he had seen too much law used as a weapon against the powerless. And he answered them with calm resolve, stating that the sisters were under his protection and that any claim against them would have to pass through him and be proven. And the tension stretched thin as wire, horses stamping, hands hovering near guns, until the older sister stepped forward, her voice steady, recounting the truth of a camp destroyed without mercy, of women and children scattered like ash. And though some men scoffed, others shifted uncomfortably, for even hardened hearts could not fully silence conscience. And when the rancher offered witnesses, land deeds and his own name as guarantee, the men withdrew reluctantly, promising scrutiny and return, leaving behind a silence heavier than their threat. The days that followed tested all three. The neighbors came with curiosity sharpened by prejudice. Whispers crept like snakes through the fence lines, and supplies grew scarce as traders hesitated. Yet within the ranch a fragile harmony took root, work shared without words, laughter breaking through grief like wildflowers through stone. And at night, stories were exchanged of lost families, of the rancher's years of solitude and regret, of dreams that refused to die even when the world tried to bury them. And slowly trust deepened into something stronger, a partnership forged by labor and loyalty rather than force. The turning point came when the men returned in greater number, intent on taking what they believed the land and law allowed. And this time the rancher did not stand alone. For neighbors he had once helped in silence rode to his side, drawn by the quiet integrity of a man who kept his word. And the sisters stood beside him not as captives but as equals, eyes unbowed. And when the standoff ended without blood, when the riders finally left for good, the land itself seemed to breathe easier, as if acknowledging a justice rare and hard won. In the weeks that followed, the ranch became a place of cautious hope, a refuge whispered about in the plains. And though danger never vanished entirely, neither did purpose. And the rancher knew that love, in its truest form, was not claimed in a night, but proven day after day through sacrifice. And the sisters, once hunted, now chose their path freely, bound not by fear but by shared resolve. And as the sun set on a land still scarred but healing, their story stood as a quiet defiance against cruelty, a reminder that honor can survive even in lawless places. And if this ending moved you, if you believe stories of courage and chosen family deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because many more powerful frontier tales await, and each one begins with a single choice to do what is right when it would be easier to turn away. Seasons changed, and the ranch grew stronger under their united hands. The sisters, no longer guests, but integral to its heartbeat, teaching the rancher skills he had never valued, guiding him through the land with wisdom and courage. And together they built a home that was more than walls and fire. It was a sanctuary of trust and choice, a place where fear no longer dictated actions, and where love, respect, and shared responsibility wove the days into something enduring. Travelers who arrived saw not just a man and two women, but a testament to what could be achieved when honor and compassion led decisions. And as night fell over the quiet plains, the rancher watched the sisters by the hearth, their laughter mingling with the wind, and understood that some promises, once made with courage and kept with integrity, could reshape lives forever, proving that true strength lies in protecting those who cannot be silenced and standing firm when the world demands compromise. And if their story inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tales of resilience, courage, and unexpected bonds that defy the frontier's harshest trials.